Hi students! Many times students have difficulty when writing a body paragraph, especially using multiple sources. This video will help you to see the basic structure of a solid body paragraph and how to use different articles, essays, and research all in one paragraph. First, let's review the basic structure of a paragraph. A well-written paragraph should contain at least the following 4 elements: topic sentence, specific evidence from your sources, your explanation, analysis of evidence, or your interpretation and ideas, and a concluding sentence. The topic sentence, remember, is the umbrella statement under which all of your examples fall. This is the most important sentence in the paragraph because all the details need to refer back to or prove this sentence. Think, what is the point I am trying to make? What am I trying to prove? Then use specific evidence. This can be a quotation or paraphrase from the text or your own reason that backs up the topic sentence. Specific evidence provides either a paraphrase or a direct quote from your research with author attribution. Be sure to use transition words to introduce each new piece of evidence, for example, for instance, etc. Next, use a few sentences to explain what this quotation or reason means. In other words, you want to tell your reader how this reason or quote relates to the topic sentence. You may have a few sentences here, depending on how much you need to explain or what the assignment is asking for. Use transition words to show the relationship between evidence and your explanation. Therefore, thus, as a result, furthermore, etc. If you would like to discuss the other side of the argument in order to make your idea stronger, then you use counter evidence. Counter evidence that shows the other side of the argument. However, remember that after counter evidence, you need to have a rebuttal statement that redirects the readers back to your opinion. Rebuttal is an explanation why the counter evidence is wrong and return to why your point is right. Be sure, of course, to use a transition word to introduce this counter evidence. However, on the other hand, in contrast. Finally, each paragraph needs a concluding sentence that provides closure. Concluding sentence tells the reader how and why this information answers the research question. So, let's see how this looks in practice. I'll read an example paragraph and highlight the different ideas. Yellow for main idea or topic sentence, green for reason or specific evidence, blue for explanation or analysis statements, pink for counter evidence, and gray for the concluding sentence. Think about what might be missing as we go along. Take a second to read over the paragraph. Ready? We start with, however, parents are not the only one poisoning the youth of America. Schools play a huge role of stress for teens. Note the transition word. Now my whole paragraph should explain something about teens and stress. Now let's take a look at the next part. Here's my specific evidence. The article mentioned the number of prescriptions has gone way up in recent years, especially for pain relievers and stimulants. Wait a second. Well, what article is she talking about? Where is this research coming from? Next are our explanation sentences. The main reason, The main reason why it has increased dramatically is because the stress of excelling and getting into a good college. School standards have gradually increased over the years, and competition to get into college is high. In order to get a good job, education is a must. Therefore, the pressure of simply being a teenager, work responsibilities, and excelling in school can lead teens to look for an escape. That escape can be found 5 steps away in students' medicine cabinets, thus making the path to prescription drug addiction very easy. Okay, good. She explained what she meant by that quote from the unknown article or author. Great job here. Notice how she did not just talk about what the article had to say. She used her own ideas here to explain the topic sentence. Do I know more about teens and stress now? Yes. Now, I have more specific evidence. In 2007, Joseph Bednar argued that it is crucial to have the right timing to introduce the drug education in schools. But who on earth is Joseph Bednar? How is he an authority on stress in teens? I'm so confused. Is there any evidence? Where are her ideas? How does this relate to the topic sentence? Now the next sentence states, schools need to find more ways to lessen stress and get a drug program that will be more effective. Okay, great. This looks like the conclusion. Does it sum up the examples? Yes. So what is the problem here? Well, for starters, we leave this paragraph with some ideas that are not explained. Second, we have no idea what article she is discussing or who her expert is. That has to be fixed. The reader should never be questioning the writer. It is the writer's job to spell it out. So let's see how we can do it. We can do that by adding context to our quotations. Check this out. Okay, here it is how it should be. We have our topic sentence, just the same. But notice the difference here. Now, instead of just saying in the article, she states, in prescription drugs, their use and abuse, the article mentioned, and then she gives her quote. So that's a good way to introduce her example by putting it in context. Now, as a reader, I can check her reference page and see what the article is all about. Here, in 2007, Joseph Bednar, author of Prescription for Trouble, Abuse of Pharmaceutical Drugs Rising Among Teenagers, argued that it is crucial to have the right timing to introduce drug education in schools. Here it is. Now we know who Joseph Bednar is, and we know what he wrote. Again, I can check the reference page and see if I want to read more about what he has to say. But let's see if our author fixed the problem of not explaining Joseph Bednar's evidence. In other words, schools need to start early in educating their students about drug abuse. For example, most middle schools do not tend to address the prescription drugs specifically, as they do not view prescription drugs as a large issue. However, when students get in high school, a majority of students have already used or abused some sort of prescription drug because of the accessibility. Excellent. Now I know how the research relates to that topic sentence of teens and school and stress. Great work. Now, let's see how to use the other side of the argument, or the counter evidence. Notice, all of the original ideas are the same, but instead of adding more research to support the topic sentence, our writer used counter evidence. Counter evidence should always be introduced with a transition word. So let's see, where is the counter evidence? Okay, let's read this over. We have our topic sentence. We have our evidence. We have our explanation of the evidence. But now I see a transition word. It says, on the other hand, some school boards view drug education as a slippery slope and tend to avoid the conversation altogether. So here we go. Here begins our topic sentence, our counter evidence. Our counter evidence. Here we have, on the other hand, to start it off, and then she goes on to give the evidence. For example, Herman Munster of the Mockingbird Heights Institute claims that the teacher's sole responsibility is to teach content and not monitor their students' extracurricular activities. His organization believes that drug education belongs at home and in the community, and that exposing students to the easy availability to prescription drugs may encourage the students to try the drugs. Okay, this tells the other side of the argument. Notice that the author gives context for the statement. She explains what this man's organization is all about and explains his perspective. Now here's the big part. When you use counter evidence, you always need to have a rebuttal and redirect the audience back to your idea. Remember, this person, Herman Munster, believes that schools add to teen stress and that leads to prescription drug abuse. We know that from the topic sentence. Now read the evidence. Perfect. Excellent paraphrase of ideas here. Notice how she acknowledges the counter evidence, and here she simply states, however, this belief simply masks the problem. By the time the students get in high school, a majority have already used or abused some sort of prescription drug. Notice she acknowledges the counter evidence but adds her own idea to prove her topic sentence. Most counter evidence only needs one sentence or two sentences to explain it and redirect. So let's recap. A good paragraph has a topic sentence, evidence, and an explanation or examples of the evidence, sometimes counter evidence and a rebuttal, and a good closing sentence. Remember to always introduce a quote or paraphrase and put it in context when using multiple sources. Think you can do it? Give it a try. You can check your work by color coding just like we did in the model. If you do, your paragraph will be clear, concise, and a winner. Good luck!